Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the FrostBytez gaming experience, where finally we're getting back into Pokemon, folks. Taking a bit of a step back, looking at Generation 1. Started off with the channel looking at Generation 2, because Generation 2 was the first generation that I truly played. I did play some Gen 1 Pokemon Blue back when I was like in first grade, before I even know what I was supposed to be doing with the game. It was just a bunch of cute creatures with some really cool attacks fighting one another, and that's about all I had. And it wasn't until James had introduced me to Gen 2 that I truly actually started to enjoy Pokemon. And unfortunately, Gen 1, I didn't really go out of my way to actually beat a Gen 1 Pokemon game until about late high school. I think I even beat a Gen 3 Pokemon game in Pokemon Emerald before I went on my way to finally beat a Gen 1 Pokemon, because obviously, you know, one of the tough things to do for just about any gaming franchise is taking a step back and playing one of the earlier editions when you've already played the later editions before then. I'm pretty sure just about everybody knows exactly how that feels, and you know, it sure felt that, especially doing it for the channel here. Now, there's going to be a lot that we've got to go into, and I kind of extend the first part of the video a little bit in favor of this, because, again, there's quite a bit to say. There was some stuff that I probably could have cut out, but like I said, with the amount that, you know, it'd probably be just as much to say as it was in the first part of Gen 2, you know, I try to get it as extended as possible. So probably one of the first things that anybody would ask is, why exactly am I taking a look at Pokemon Blue over Pokemon Red, and especially Pokemon Yellow? It seems like if you want to do a walkthrough for a Pokemon game, you would much rather do, you know, what's considered the most popular, which would be Pokemon Yellow. When I'm doing these Pokemon games for the channel, I'm doing them on the games that I grew up playing. I didn't do Pokemon Crystal for the channel because I grew up with Pokemon Gold. That was my Gen 2 game. That's why I'm doing Pokemon Blue over Red and Yellow, because Pokemon Blue was the one that, A, it was the one I mostly played when I was a kid, and B, it was the first Gen 1 Pokemon game I ever beat. And if I'm being completely honest here, and I know I might get shot down for this, but I've never beaten Pokemon Yellow. I've never been aspired to beat Pokemon Yellow because I'm just not as big of a fan of Pikachu as I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there are. I'm especially not a big fan of the fact that you can't evolve it into a Raichu, or at least, you know, I believe you can. That's just going based off of my memory where the Pikachu is in. You know, they try to base off the anime where it's like, oh, it's a Pikachu that'll never evolve. You know, it's never going to be in the Pokeball and it's always going to be with you. I was not a really big fan of that. You know, I was always a Charmander guy. In general, I was just always a fire guy. I always wanted the fire style Pokemon. It started off with Cyndaquil, you know, probably my second favorite Pokemon ever. And, you know, you go back to Gen 1 and it's like, even as a kid when I knew what Pokemon was, it's like, I want the cool looking fire lizard that looks like a bit of a dragon. You know, stop me if you've heard that before from many other kids. Later on, it kind of turned into more, I would usually go for fire types because it was easier to get a water grass type towards the beginning of the game than it was getting a fire type towards the beginning of the game. So because of that, I would usually gear myself to getting the fire type in every generation of Pokemon that I had ever played. Okay, so Charmander, starting Pokemon. I am not naming them because, again, this is more of a walkthrough. This isn't like a Nuzlocke challenge or anything like that. Sometime in the future, maybe I'll finally go on my way of doing a Nuzlocke challenge or some other kind of challenge where I will actually name them. But, you know, generally when I play Pokemon, I usually do not name my own Pokemon. I just leave them as their base name. So now that we're getting into the actual portion of the game, you know, we just got done beating our rival Code B, getting ourselves our very first potion here. What exactly are we looking to do with this walkthrough? Okay, if you are brand new to the Pokemon walkthrough of my channel, you know, this being really only my second one, so basically if you hadn't seen my one for Pokemon Gold, what exactly is the goal of this walkthrough? The big goal of this walkthrough is A, we're beating the game, obviously, but B, we are fighting every single trainer in the game, as well as I will be showing off all items in the game, including the hidden items, okay? And one of them you really got to go out of your way for. This is something that I never knew growing up until I first did this walkthrough a year ago, back when I was doing my original return before that got scrapped and thrown away and I had to restart from scratch. So there's some really cool hidden items that you can go out of your way to get. But we should be coming up in our first wild battle here. This is the only wild battle I'm going to show off. Unlike, so what I did in Gen 2 Pokemon, when I did Pokemon Gold for the channel, was I would show off every 2 times that I ran into a Pokemon in the wild, and then I would skip the battle from there. Doing it this time, I realized even with my Gen 2 that eventually most of my grinding came from battling trainers and not wild Pokemon, and I would just go out of my way and get repels anyways. And in a lot of cases, a lot of the Pokemon that we fight against trainers really is just about almost every single Pokemon in the entirety of the first generation game. So after that one battle, just to kind of show off what it looks like to run to a wild Pokemon, I'm not going to be showing off any other encounters with wild Pokemon unless I am capturing the said Pokemon to be a part of my team. So if you ever see like a wild encounter, you know, that actually goes through, you know then that it's because I am catching that Pokemon to be a part of the team. Because again, a lot of the Pokemon, we're going to be running into them anyways against trainer battles, gym battles, you name it. There really is no need for me to really show them off in the wild. There just isn't. You know, I figure it's just a lot easier to cut all wild battles out, save up on time a little bit, because some of these parts, especially when battling trainers, can get really meaty for no real reason. So once you get yourself your Pokedex, you're pretty much free to go out and do whatever. If you try to venture further north, you'll get stopped by an old man, and basically something, I believe it's something like he needs his morning coffee or something like that. I don't remember what it is, but he blocks you because he's a jackass, and that's really all that you have to know about it. You know, so you got to get the, you know, whatever mail for Professor Oak, take it back, and he's like, oh, here you go, Pokedex and all that stuff. So even though our rival says that he's going to tell his sister not to give us a map, she's going to give us a map anyways. Why is she studying a map right now? I don't know exactly, but whatever. You know, obviously we're in with her sister, so she gives it to us, we call it good. I think I also come here to show off that you can talk to your mother. It's basically like having a Pokemon Center. Again, Pokemon Centers don't cost anything anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but this is the only place in this town where you can heal up your Pokemon, unlike in Gen 2, where it has this like own little healing station you have to talk to your mother. So with that said, we are now on Route 1. Probably one of my favorite parts about doing these is going through the percentages. Relatively short, nowhere near the length as Gen 2, because Gen 2 we had to deal with night, day, afternoon kind of statistics. Not so much in Gen 1, it was a much easier time. So on Route 1 back there, you can capture yourself a Pidgey, 55% chance in the red-blue version, 70% chance in the yellow version. Rattata, red-blue version, 45% chance, 30% chance in the yellow version, and your chance to get your Pikachu in the yellow version as your starter. Okay, and that's really all there is on Route 1. We got a couple more coming up into this video. This is the only time I really show off the Pokemon Center. You know, you can talk to the lady, she'll heal up your Pokemon. You talk to the one on the right, you can do battles and trades with friends. You can come over to a computer here. You can store items, withdraw items. You can store Pokemon, withdraw Pokemon, let Pokemon go. You name it, whatever you want to do. Only a certain amount of storage area though, so, you know, you got to make sure that, you know, you're keeping tabs of everything that you have, and just going, you know, making sure that you're not overstocked, especially when you're just walking around, because there's no worse feeling than going through a dungeon area and it's like, oh, can't pick this up because your inventory's full. Nothing's worse than that. So we're coming up on Route 2 here. Caterpie, you got a 15% chance in the blue version only. Weedle, 15% chance in the red version only. Pidgey, red-blue version, 40% chance with a 30% chance in the yellow version. Rattata, red-blue version, 45% chance. Yellow 40% chance. Nidoran, female and male, 15% chance in the yellow version only. And there is someone you can talk to that'll trade you a Mr. Mime for an Abra in the red and blue version and a Clefairy in the yellow version. That's really all there is in Route 2. And Route 2 is both the bottom and the top portions of it. In the Viridian Forest, we get ourselves our very first trainer battle. You know, trainer battles are just the only real difference compared to wild battles, that you can't run away, and Pokemon are stronger, offer way more experience. Generally, the main reason why I don't go out of my way to battle a whole lot of Pokemon later on is because you're going to get way more experience just battling Pokemon for trainers, and it generally makes up, and then some, the amount of experience you would lose going against Pokemon in the wild. And again, when you use a repel, and I looked into this, in Gen 1, a repel would only repel Pokemon that were under the level of your starting Pokemon. And so if you ever ran into one that was a higher level than that, then you would get yourself a good chance of getting more experience. But even then, in a lot of cases, it's easier to go against the trainers because you go against so many of them at once, and it's less annoying just walking around than having a completely random encounter. But anyways, Viridian Forest, we got a whole slew of Pokemon that we can capture here in all versions, folks. Caterpie, 5% chance in the red version, 50% chance in the blue version, and 55% chance in the yellow version. Metapod, 5% chance red version, 35% chance in the blue version, 20% chance in the yellow version. Weedle, 50% chance in the red version, 5% chance in the blue version, 35% chance in the yellow version. Kakuna, 35% chance red version, 5% chance in the blue version. Not available in the yellow version. Not exactly sure why. That was a little bit weird for me to see. Pidgey, yellow version only 24%, with a Pidgeotto, 1% yellow version only, and a Pikachu red-blue version only, 5% chance. So even though you don't play the yellow version, already in this area, you have a 5% chance of getting yourself a Pikachu anyways. One that you can actually evolve into a Raichu, you know, and one that isn't forced to stay on your team. So, you know, 0.1 of the red and blue version, in my opinion, if you ask me. All jokes aside, though, I mean, again, that is where you do want to go if you want to get yourself a Pikachu. There was always rumors that in the bottom right area of the forest, that big patch of grass there, it was always rumored that there was a higher percent chance of catching a Pikachu there. I'm pretty sure that's 100% wrong, but hey, as a kid, I always fell for it, and that's generally how I got my Pikachu, was just in that bottom right area. It could also be because it was just the closest patch of grass to go to, but hey, you know, when it comes to Pokemon, there's rumors all over the place. Number of items and hidden items to get in the Viridian Forest, one of which I skip for a specific reason that we'll go into more detail on the next part as to why one of the items in the Viridian Forest I completely skip. Get yourself a hidden potion right before battling this guy, and then we battle it out. And right after this battle, before continuing on, I do run all the way back to Pallet Town. I don't believe I show off the reason for ignoring that one item. If I do, I'll go either way. I'll go more in depth with it about it in the second part. I'm pretty sure some people might already know exactly what it is that I'm talking about, but for those of you that don't know, it's a really cool little find. And you know, I was really excited when I first found out about it myself, where I was like, oh, I had no idea about this. So yeah, just to reiterate, so again, just like in Gen 2, we're finding every single item, every single hidden item, going against every single trainer in the gym, every single gym leader, Elite Four, you name it. The only thing that we're not doing is that we are not collecting one of every single Pokemon for the Pokedex. That is just not what my walkthroughs are about when it comes to Pokemon. It'll never be what my walkthroughs are about for Pokemon. In general, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other channels that do something like that. I just more want to show, like, you know, the game portion of the game as far as like battling other people and finding every single item. And that's really generally about it. I never really went out of my way to complete a Pokedex anyways. My Gen 1 Blue is relatively close, but then I found out not too long ago that, you know, you can trade them to Gen 2, but you can't trade them to Gen 3 for some reason. And that kind of just killed wanting to make a Pokedex in Gen 1 anyways, because it's like, what does it matter if I can't, you know, keep sending my team on, you know, further files and further games? Who knows? But that's going to do it for part 1, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Catch you guys on the next part.